Hey guys, I'm Captain Foley,
And I'm Sam McCuggins. Hello.
and welcome to a new Trekyards One Hit Wonders episode.
Yes. Brilliant.
Today's ship will be a very interesting one as it has two versions. It has the original 1960s version and the remastered one for the TOS Remastered series. So very cool that way. With only a very small amount of screen time, well under a minute actually. The Aurora is the very definition of a one-off ship, and yet somehow it has two versions, so it's very cool.
I didn't know anything about the remastered when it came out in 2006, 2008, so around that time. I always knew about the terrible one, which we'll get into in a minute. But it was really cool to sort of see the better, improved version for this episode.
With a length of 21 meters, width of 9.74, and a height of 8.12 meters, this is slightly smaller than a runabout.
Pretty small. Aurora was a 23rd century Federation J-class space cruiser, really small space cruiser, and was seen in TOS Series 3 episode Way to Eden, which either we all remember shockingly or we all choose to forget. Yeah. And apparently it was stolen by Dr. Severin and his followers in 2269 to search for the mythical planet Eden. Ooh.
The original TOS registry number for this vessel was NCC 01200. However, in the remastered episode, it was given the registry NC 17740, which was seen on the nacelles. That was actually the tail number for Matt Jeffries' 1939 Waco Yoke biplane. Matt Jeffries, of course, is being the original designer of the TOS Enterprise and other TOS ships, so it's kind of an homage to him.
Oh, that's really cool. Well done, Remastered guys. That's cool.
Yep.
And as you remember from the episode, the ship was destroyed when they pushed their engines too hard to fight the Enterprise's tractor beam. Couldn't compete, could they?
Well, they were going to drift Romulan space. You don't want a Federation Romulan incident. So a total of 237 ships were released.
Wow.
With 34 different variations of the basic design. 160 of those vessels were used by Starfleet in various military roles, primarily as shuttles. So the remaining 77 ships were sold to private institutions, industries, and individuals.
So is that information on the original TOS design, or is that the remastered design? Because are you seriously telling me there was 237 of those flying around?
There was. That was obviously on the original blueprints for that ship. So it'll apply to the new one too, though. So
so the original TOS design actually had a retractable landing gear somehow. An entry-exit door that swings down 90 degrees and became part of the floor. Don't know how I had that, but it's tech, yeah.
The studio model used in the original episode was the Tholian Web spinner ship, as seen in the TOS episode Tholian Web. The model received a few modifications, however, in the way of two warp engines taken directly from the AMT model kit of the Enterprise, which was available to the public at the time. These were attached to the Tholian ship using Klingon D7 engine struts, and the ship was made to fly in reverse to look like a different ship.
So yeah, looked great, really, really good.
Yeah.
So according to Mike Okuta, the CGI model they created for the Aurora for the remastered version is actually a slightly modified Class J transport. It has 2 decks this time, larger engines, and different windows. So it's kind of cool they made a slightly different version rather than just throwing the same 3D model again, which is always cool and always an improvement of the original. Always an improvement.
Well, anything would be. Yeah. It should also be noted that the CGI Aurora is very similar in design to Matt Jeffries' original design concept for the Class F shuttlecraft. A teardrop shape with a very aerodynamic profile. This is the reason they gave the redesign the new registry number in honor of the designer of the Enterprise. I really like the shuttle design, by the way. I think it's actually a shame that we didn't actually get to see her on screen, but we'll talk more about that design in a future episode. So.
Yeah, interesting one. So in canon, this cruiser design had actually been in service for nearly a century by the time the TOS episode came about, and apparently was originally based on a Vulcan ship that was used for interplanetary travel. So that's kind of cool. Once it works out.
Originally designed to be a 21-meter-long multi-purpose craft, some were outfitted with low-yield lasers or phase cannons, and the odd one had a small atomic missile launcher. So It's kind of neat. However, the ones that were sold to individual buyers were generally turned into luxurious space yachts. They have a range of several dozen parsecs, which is actually pretty impressive. It's roughly about 117 light years,
Wow.
and can carry provisions for up to 6 passengers and crew. So that's pretty good.
I think we checked that out, and that's like almost the trip from Kronos and back in the prime timeline. Not obviously JJ would be 20 times for that, but
Yeah.
that's pretty well. That's good. So kind of a cool little reference, I guess. There's actually a fan film called Star Trek Aurora. It's an animated fan film, and it's set in 2270, which is right after Kirk's original 5-year mission, and it follows 2 female merchants on their strange adventures. Although not officially the same ship, the size and overall design could be a hybrid between the TOS and the remastered versions, which is pretty cool. And also, based on the information we found for the Aurora, this could in fact be just a heavily customized version of the ship, because actually it was incredibly customizable, like we said, with 39 variations. So it could just be another of the same class, just a personalized version for those 2 people. Definitely interesting though, you should definitely check it out. But to avoid confusion, it's not actually the same exact ship or anything, but we thought we'd mention it because it's the Aurora and the Aurora. And it's one of the only big animated ones, so do check it out.
Yeah, definitely. It's worth watching for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so it's time to move on to the discussion part of the show.
Yeah.
And after growing up with the original version of the ship, I kind of feared that there was no hope I would ever like it. However, the reimagined CGI version is really cool, and I really like it. As I said earlier, the design they used, being based on the original concept art for the original shuttlecraft, was a stroke of genius, I think. Get a chance to use something that they never could produce.
Yeah.
The only reason it wasn't used in the original series is because of episode time constraints, as well as the building methods and limitations of the 1960s. So
Yeah.
now I understand full well why they reused the Tholian ship in the original episode and just modified it. There are a few reasons actually, but it was cheaper to use a model that they had already built, for example, and they had like a week to get the episode to air, so building a whole new model would have taken too long. This has been done throughout Star Trek history, though. It's reused old models and just modified them. So,
Yeah.
also syndication wasn't really a thing back then, so they figured people would see it once and forget all about it. So no big deal. No one's going to rewatch it and become fanatical about this show or anything.
Yeah.
So they never imagined that it would become a cult icon. Watched, rewatched, analyzed by millions of people over half a decade. Kind of like us.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Plus, you must remember this show was at the time one of the most expensive shows to produce, and also had award-winning special effects. So as much as we laugh at them now, it's not really fair to say that, because they were doing really good work for the era. So
Well done, Star Trek. Yeah, in terms of the classic version, for me, it's a bit ridiculous. It's obviously a modified Tholian ship, and I can't rectify that in canon. It just doesn't work for me. I'm sure the audiences at the time didn't mind because, like you say, there was no syndication. They just saw the episode, maybe then saw the next episode, whatever. It was just another ship, and I don't think they necessarily think back. So I'm sure it worked, but for modern audiences, like you said, who analyse things like we do, sort of breaks down the second viewing or even the first viewing. Yeah, it's not great. And even when I was a kid, I remember thinking, that's a bit silly, and it really resembles a Tholian, and it didn't make sense to me. So, yeah. As for the new version, before we did this episode and researched it, didn't know there was a new version, didn't know what it looked like, and I quite like it, yeah. It's really cool that it's based off Matt Jeffries' original shuttle design. That is a really nice bit of fan service they did, and I really appreciate that. I think it feels more like a cargo ship than a shuttle. I wouldn't have liked to have seen it as the actual TOS shuttle, but I think it does work as a cargo ship, and it fits more into the retro scheme of things, much smoother edges rather than later, harder edges that all later ships had. So that's what I think. And I think the design team, like I said, should get a lot of credit for using a design they already had and making it come to life. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. I simply love the care and attention that has gone into the remastering of those episodes, by the way. I really think that the new version of this original Ugly Duckling is kind of a work of art. So it's neat that they were able to do that. And the fact that it's a space shot, that's just cool. I want one. The original Aurora design was neat for the 60s, but I mean, come on, really? Like you said, it's clearly a Tholian ship. Looking back, it's a little bit laughable, but as I mentioned earlier, it made sense for the time and worked just fine then. So in conclusion, good job to everyone, past and present. have spent hours of their lives working on these ships, both versions, and they will never be forgotten. So
yeah, I think it's one of the sort of the fun Star Trek goofs that most people know of the classic series. I think that's quite fun.
Yeah.
I like to say the only thing I don't really like about the ship is that it's almost a non-Trek feeling design. It's on that line. It looks a bit like a rocket ship, like you can imagine it for Buck Rogers or something, sort of rocket ship universe. But I think it still works in a sort of cargo ship capacity. And I'm glad it didn't end up being a TOS shuttle, because I think the actual TOS shuttle is a phenomenal design. So I'm sort of a bit biased on that. But yeah.
So that's it for the Aurora. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah. 2
ships, but the same ships. So very cool.
Yeah.
So it's time to reveal our next assignment, should we choose to accept it.
We do, yes, we do.
We're going back to 60s show there. Next time, we will examine the Xindi aquatic cruiser from Enterprise.
Cool.
Seen in Series 3 episode called Countdown, as well as a short appearance in other episodes as well. So
yeah, this is an oldie in terms of Star Trek universe, but a goodie. And it was the most powerful Xindi ship that they had, so that's quite exciting. But now we're going to the verses. So, as you know, for the One Hit Wonders, we pick a ship of any other era to fight, sort of more creative, whatever you want. It has to be of a similar sort of attack power. So this ship is obviously a small yacht freighter. So it's my time to choose a ship from another part of the universe. So obviously you get the Aurora, and I'm going to pick the Riemann Scorpion class fighter from Nemesis. So who wants to go first on this?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I have 2 versions of this ship, so I'm going to weld them together to make like a super ship. So we got the floating ship on the top. Well, the floating ship on the top with the other ship welded on the bottom. And I've got phase cannons, as we mentioned, and lasers, and even an atomic missile. So you got a little fighter. So, the atomic missile, if I get a hit on you without shields...
Dodge that.
That might scratch your paint and stuff. You can let me finish. And if you opened your canopy for some reason in flight, I could shoot a laser and knock your head off. I don't know. It's a civilian versus a military fighter. So, I don't really stand much of a chance here. I'm just kind of grasping at straws.
But it's a bigger ship with more weapons, technically? No?
A lot older weapons, for sure.
Lasers. Classic weapons. Yeah. Cage weapons. Yeah.
Yeah,
like you said, it's a much smaller ship. It's a fighter, so it's designed for combat. Only one ship. It's obviously designed for multiple ships, but only one. I'm sure it's still very capable, and several hundred years difference in technology. It's incredibly maneuverable. It's got a phase cannon. Might not be high yield, but again, based on the time difference, I think it'd be enough to rip through your shields and then just do a pass, rip through your shields, destroy your life support, and let your hippie friends suffocate to death.
I don't have any hippie friends. I wasn't. Hey.
Hey, we Riemanns, we've got to hit you hard. So I think I probably win that one.
And we've already established that the engines will fail if you put a tractor beam on, so you could have disable us and just kind of take pock shots at us, right? I shouldn't be helping you. I shouldn't help you, but
didn't need it.
I think you win this one. I'm sorry to say.
Don't worry, next time you'll pick something really annoying.
Well, I'm sure I will. Yes. All right, guys. Well, that's it for the Aurora. Thank you guys for tuning in to Trekyards One Hit Wonders. And next week, of course, we have a regular Trekyards episode, so stay tuned for that. And every Saturday, Trekyards. So
that's awesome.
As always.
So yeah, we hope you're enjoying Trekyards One Hit Wonder so far. Keep viewing, keep looking at all the other shows like we said, and let us know what you think in the comments. Do you like the Aurora? Do you prefer the old one? Maybe you do. Maybe you've got some really awesome reason why it's now smaller and stupider. If you do, tell us. We want to know. We actually do. Yes, this is true. And as always, subscribe, like, do the thing where you go to the Facebook group, the Twitter account. The thing. And, yeah, this gets old after the end of every episode, but we got to remind you guys. We got to check Yard's webpage and everything. Yes, so we do. Check it out and join the conversation. And definitely, you can ask us questions on the Facebook page. Yep. We always are available to answer. So if you want to know anything about the show or about us, just ask away. Yeah. All right, guys. I think that's it for this show. So we'll talk to you very soon. This is Captain Foley signing off. Sam McCockings. See you next time, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.